viewers, this is my short debridement demonstration. I'm going to start with wound tracing. So this is my wound tracing. I already did it, and I traced the wound from the textbook. This wound, and look, I indicated the patient initials, date, and the clock orientation 12/6, and I indicated T for tendon, S for slab, and N for the necrotic tissue. So now I'm going to measure the wound using the wound scale. This is the wound scale. I'm using the centimeter scale for this one. So the length will be the longest, will be 6 point, let me see, the longest length is like 6.1 centimeter, and the width will be, the longest is 2.2. so that's my, so I need to calculate the surface area, the longest length, and multiplied by the longest with the centimeter scale. Okay, so I'm going to show it in my wound tracing too. So the longest length is 6.1 centimeter, and the longest width is 2.2 centimeter, and the surface area, again same, length multiplied with width equal to 13.42 centimeter square. That's surface area. So my wound tracing is over, and this is the wound I trace, and using the centimeter scale. Okay, and I'm going to move this one a little bit, and now I'm going to show the wound shaving using the navel orange. So I'm going to use number 10 scalpel blade for this shaving. So first of all, my forearm need to rest in the table, and you have to hold the scalpel in between your third and fourth finger, like this. Third and fourth finger between your, like this, third and fourth finger, like this. And you have to use the curvy part, not the tip, for shaving. So I'm in comfortable position, fan, and forearm rests on the table. So I'm using the curvy section, not the tip. So I'm going to start with the shaving. I'm going to perform the shaving, and I will put this one here. When you perform this shaving, make sure no deep tissue will cut. Avoid cutting viable tissue, so might be superficial. Avoid cutting the deep tissue. Had to avoid cutting the deep tissue. Got some Again, you have to hold it firmly between third and fourth finger. Avoid cutting any deep tissue and use the curvy part, not the tip. Okay, so I'm almost done with shaving, and okay, so that's good enough. Okay, from cross hatching, I'm using number 15 scalpel blade. I'm going to hold it like a pencil. Hold it like a pencil in your first web space and hold it firmly and avoid touching the metal part of the blade. And your forearm supposed to be resting on the surface. And I'm going to perform the whole cross hatching. First I'm going to cut in parallel and then perpendicular. So make sure that no deep tissue will cut. So I'm going to perform parallel, and the round part of the curvy part, you have to use the curvy part. Do some parallel cut. Avoid cutting the deep tissue. Wow. Have to make sure no viable tissue will be cut. Okay. And I'm going to cut perpendicular. So use the curvy part and avoid cutting the deep tissue. Okay, so I'm going to show you with the rest here, and I'm going to show you. That's good, right? Yes. And there's no viable tissues cut. You can see the dart inside. So that's good. So I'm going to keep it here. And now I'm going to perform sharp debridement on the necrotic tissue. And I'm going to move this a little bit closer. So I perform. So you have to stabilize this orange. First, this is the necrotic part. I need to do the sharp debridement. So first, you have to hold the forceps in a non-dominant hand. So the forceps you have to keep in the palmar. So I'm comfortable with the palmar surface, so hold it in the palmar surface. And the scissors, you have to hold it on the dominant hand between your thumb and fourth finger, and the index finger resting on the shaft. Always make sure it's pointing upwards, not downwards, and make sure it's stable, and the index finger pointed on the shaft. Okay, so I'm going to move it a little more closer so I'll be comfortable. Okay. So so make sure your forearm rests stable, and I'm going to pull up the tissue using the forceps and cut using the scissors. And you have to use the middle third of the scissor for cutting. I need to pull up and cut. Pull up and cut. Pull up and cut. Pull up and cut using the middle thread of this scissor and cut. Pull up and cut using the middle thread of the scissor. Pull up and cut using the middle thread of the scissor. Pull it up and cut using the middle thread of the scissor. Always make sure it's pointed up. Pull up and cut in the middle of the scissor. And pull up and cut. And cut. And now most of the necrotic tissue is debrided. I'm going to stop the debridement to avoid cutting any viable tissue. So it's almost, or most of the necrotic tissue are debrided. Yes.